Today on the Topic Show, Disney lies, saying that The Marvels is the #1 film. Bud Light Free Beer tweet is roasted by the only real responses that show up. Vivek goes on Chris Cuomo. Ron DeSantis calls out San Francisco cleaning up only because China is visiting. Home Depot Q3 earnings are in. A vintage Ferrari GTO sells for a record amount. German auto parts manufacturer is starting to initiate layoffs. And Fisker EV stock crashes 20% after decreased deliveries, as well as saying that their 10Q filing will be delayed. All of that and much more on The Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of Topping Show is sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Gotta say he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, you see, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or a business owner and need a little assistance, you can reach the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, we're trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of November, so if you can click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, going over to the business part of the podcast, you have Home Depot Q3 earnings are in. As the CEO says, they're going on over a year of quote-unquote modernization. Now, perhaps a little biased, I can't help but lose track of how many times I've gone to Home Depot for all the little things I needed to purchase to buy stuff like components and supplies to manufacture things like this, the podcast table in here. The other two tables are about, 7 feet by 4 feet for the interview podcast tables. Those, we should have got sponsored by Home Depot. But they had darn near every component we needed. And every time we needed a little knick-knack or extra screw or some specialized epoxy tape, they were able to just jump on over and get the supplies there. And it's pretty darn convenient. They got more locations, or not as many as Starbucks, but they seem to be multiplying like bunnies, so to say. And if you're ever looking for a good read, I believe the Bernie's book is specifically called Home Built or Built to Last? What is it called? Built from Scratch. That is the book that was written by the founder or the co-founder of the Home Depot, and I can't recommend that enough. Interestingly enough, let me know if you want me to do some type of book of the month kind of shindig and kind of talk about what book I'm reading, highlights, my thoughts, usually around business or philosophy. This year I've read darn near every retailer that I could think of in terms of books by the founders or specialists that cover the company. But nevertheless, going into the Q3 earnings. Now, this is thanks to the OG Yahoo Finance, with, that might be dating me, but back in the day, they were the default search engine. At one point, one of the most valuable companies in history, turning down an offer from Microsoft, I believe, to sell out for $40 billion because they thought they were worth more, and then subsequently they sold for less than 10% of that to, I believe, Verizon, and they've been sold and spun off a couple times ever since. Now, it looks like that their earnings are downsizing as consumers are starting to pull back on their renovations, and this is thanks to a senior reporter by the name of Brooke DePalma, again on Yahoo Finance. They also know that sales are down 3.10% year over year, though it wasn't as low as Wall Street expected at 3.31%. They did know that revenue came in a little bit higher than anticipated at $37.71 billion compared to the estimated $37.70 billion. So again, one of the best things you can do being a publicly traded company, knock the socks off the investors, impress them, and always beat the expectations. And while it doesn't sound like a lot, 0.01, that's also 0.01 of a billion, so that's quite a pretty penny. Although pennies nowadays are 99.99% zinc, which is basically trash, or just copper plated. So to make the metaphor more apt, we should probably say a vintage pretty penny, which was actually mostly composed of copper. Now, going down, we'll actually do a little look at their stock trends as well. They know that the adjusted earnings per share were $3.81 per share compared to the estimated $3.76 per share, while digital sales actually grew 5%, which is pretty interesting. I don't know. A lot of my friends who are doing DIY projects and building things, a lot of the convenience of why they shop at Home Depot, or if they have a wife and the wife wants to go to Lowe's, kidding, that's, well, not so much. It's actually a big part of their marketing. But nevertheless, as long as instances where a lot of value is, they're right there. You don't have to wait, I don't know, a couple days to get something in the mail, or if you pay more and get it in 24 hours. A lot of value add is that it's right there right now. So it is interesting to see that the online sales grew by 5%. So that's pretty good. They also know that foot traffic is down 2.4%, though that actually was higher than they expected, 1.27%. But the average ticket dropped less than expected, down 0.3% instead of 0.6%. The CEO, Todd Decker, noted that the company said, quote, saw continued customer engagement with smaller projects and experienced pressure in certain big-ticket discretionary categories. They also know that compared to Q3 of last year, purchase orders over $1,000 were down 5.2% as the housing market slows and consumers are tightening their belts, which is quite a difficult feat in the United States because of the obesity. That'd be a good business, actually. Belt manufacturers. I can't help but think many people wear them out. Granted, I'm someone who actually buys something trying to make it last a lifetime, so I believe my belt is from 2010. It's been around, so to say. Nevertheless, they also know that categories such as flooring, countertops, and cabinets were seeing quote-unquote softer engagement. Bill Bask, the Home Depot Chief Executive VP of Merchandising, said on the investor call that, quote, pro-heavy categories like roofing, insulation, and portable power tools saw big-ticket strength, unquote. Which, those are pretty good because those are pretty high-margin products. If you're ever interested in what part of the store is most expensive, look where they put the most security. All the power tools and stuff, those are all under lockdown, and they have additional security cameras specifically for those aisles, and they make that really annoying, funny beep every time you walk past and go down the power tool aisle at the Home Depot. You get that little notification, a little reminder that you're being watched. Now, it looks like the news of this is shares of Home Depot increased about 6.3%, the biggest intraday gain in 11 months after the news of the Q3 results. Year-to-date, shares are down nearly 3.1%. Now let's look at the 5-year trend. Jeez. Hindsight is always 20/20, especially when it comes to investing. Though, I would also argue the best investment is just to gamble on yourself and start a business or invest in a trade. But nevertheless, in the past 5 years, they're up 73.42%. They're currently, and again, they fluctuate every second thanks to stock market trades, but nevertheless, as the time of this recording, it's about $306.98 per share. So the past 5 years went up 73.42%. In the past year, it's actually down by 1.59%. Year to date, they're down 2.83%. 6 months, they're up, increased by 6.39%. In the past single month, they're up 3.25%. The past 5 days, they're up 5.28%. So overall, pretty darn good investment. And their market cap is currently $306 billion, and they actually do pay dividends, so that'll be good for all the dividend stock traders who buy stocks that are only based on that factor alone, or big component. Dividend yield is currently 2.72%. Now, it'll be interesting to see. They had that big bump with the lockdowns where everyone started to fix up their houses. And then with the housing boom, I know a lot of people went out and they actually repaired and improved their houses, make it more marketable, make it easier to sell. So as you see, the housing market precipitously not come to a standstill, but perhaps driving as slow as what's a slow, inept vehicle? A Ford. Well, that's not fair because some of them break in the road, so the speed would actually be 0 miles per hour. A Subaru BRZ. Great and fun in the corners, but in a straight line, purely anemic. Granted, you can turbo it, but another topic for another time. It'll be interesting to see in regard to the Home Depot stock, how will they be able to keep this growth rate up? Because, again, that 5-year trend is ridiculously positive. Let me know in the comments, is this giving you inspiration to actually make an investment in Home Depot? Or do you think maybe the competition from Lowe's and other competitors will increase and maybe leech some of those sales away? Be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Thank you again, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Don't forget to take the time to like and subscribe and comment. Trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of November, so you can click that button. I greatly appreciate it. Also, the comments and the feedback are greatly appreciated because that's how I make the show better and better and improve. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.